someone. So when I was little, me and all my neighbors would hang out on our street. My one neighbor that I saw the most was awful, to say the least. And everybody on my street called her the boss because she made everybody do exactly what she wanted at all times. And she definitely bullied all of us into being her little minions that did everything she said. So another one of my neighbors, who was a boy, who was a decent amount of years older than me, came outside to play with us, which was kind of unusual just because he was so much older than us. And Miss Bossy Pants did not like that he was going to play with us. So she had instructed me, which sounds very weird because we were young, but that's the only word that I know how to use because that's what she always did, to tell him that nobody wanted to play with him and that he should go back home. And of course, his mom was standing right behind me. I vividly remember her screaming at me and I cried and went home. Then the girl neighbor was like, "Why would you say that?"
This is the reason I always put things back exactly where I find them. Why I hate borrowing things. When I was a kid, me and my cousins loved to play pretend. We used to pretend we were cavemen. We used to pretend we were characters on a TV show. But this time they came over, we decided to play like Secret Agent. I was like 8 at this time. Our knowledge of secret agents is very limited. I just ran around the house and grabbed things that looked cool, looked leathery, and just added to the secret agent stuff. One of the things that I ended up grabbing was my dad's passport. It looked cool to me. The inside was shiny. I thought it was like super cool. I used it in part of our missions. The passport was sitting really neatly on top of my dad's desk in his office. I just thought it was like a random booklet. My cousins decided to go outside because it'd be way cooler if we were like hiding under trees and like jumping out at each other. Bring all the items, including the passport. I don't remember exactly what happened. I gave the passport to one of my younger cousins. One of us had like a notebook, a ballpoint pen. One of us had like a plastic gun. An hour or so passes, my cousins leave. I go back inside thinking all is well in the world. Can't even explain the chaos that ensued. I was freaking out he couldn't find his passport. My mom suggested asking us and he described it. Part 2 of why I don't take things without asking and why I never borrow things. I think I mentioned that my dad had a flight in a couple of hours. So the passport was set up all ready to go. My dad comes up to me and asks me, "Hey, do you know where my passport is?" Even though you shouldn't have been in my office in the first place. He describes it to me and I'm like, "Oh yeah, I know what that is." Do I say that? No. I'm like, I blame it on my younger cousins. I say I saw them with it, that they were running around with it. Dad calls my aunt. He needs to leave. My heart is racing so fast because if he finds out it's me, I'm going to die. Dad's getting all upset with my mom, and of course it's not her fault. Why would you let this happen? You should have been watching them. My dad called the airline, called a bunch of other things to see what he could do. Needless to say, my dad did not fly. We had to hear about it for the longest time. Not allowed to touch his things, and I don't want to touch his things.
I burned down the house. Story time. When I was a little kid, I used to love making potions. Not real ones, of course. I would just mix random things together like my mom's perfumes, her hair products, or just random stuff I found around the house. And yes, I would get in trouble every single time, but I still did it anyway. Now, normally when I made potions, they would be harmless. You know, no one would ever get hurt. Until this one day where I took it a little bit too far. So I decided I was gonna make a love potion. It was for this person I had a crush on, but that's besides the point. So at the time, in my head, you had to mix everything pink in your house together, write your crush's name on a piece of paper, set it on fire, and then drop it into the potion. Now, that sounds easy enough, but the problem was I made the potion flammable. I put all my mom's pink perfumes in it, and then on top of that, I put in a whole bottle of pink nail polish remover, which is extremely flammable. So as I was dropping the lit piece of paper with my crush's name into the potion, it caught fire. I tried to put it out, but I dropped it, and then the whole house caught fire.
I found my daughter that I gave up for adoption without even looking for her. Well, since it was a small business with only 3 employees and me, I had a close relationship with employees. But I had a close relationship with, let's call her, Julia. The reason why we had such a close relationship was because she did share with me that she was adopted. And obviously I shared with her that I did give up a baby for adoption. And she never judged me. She always told me that she would do anything to find her biological mother. This girl was raised right. Well, I shared with her all the details on why I gave my baby up for adoption and that I would love to meet that baby one day. Well, behind my back, she decided to investigate. I don't know how, don't ask me. 3 months later, she came in with some paperwork, told me that she was my daughter, with tears in her eyes. And well, I obviously busted out crying as well. I asked her to forgive me and I told her why it all happened. She told me those weren't sad tears, they were tears of joy. Said she never hated me and now we're in each other's lives.